Today, I'm going to talk about the difference between doing 100K a month dropshipping versus doing $1 million plus a month dropshipping. I would know because literally half of my clients are 7 figures, the other half are 8. And I run their email marketing for a very long time and I speak to them on a regular basis, helping them with a lot of challenges that they're essentially facing in ecom, right? And the reason why I'm making a video on this is because it's super important. Because most of you who are stuck in the 7-figure stage think that it has to do something with your ad strategies or your UGC volume or running CBOs versus scaling with Google versus scaling with Meta versus contribution margin, whatever, using the right tracking software. And this is super important because it has nothing to do with your ad strategies. It has nothing to do with your creatives being not edited in a very certain way or your product pages missing this button here or, anything to do with in-cart upsells and all of this stuff. But it mainly has to do with 3 really important things. And if you don't have the third, you're screwed. Let me explain. So the first thing it has to do with is the process in which you go about selecting the products that you actually test, right? Most people talk about selecting a winning product, if you will, but they never talk about actually differentiating your product because there's a lot of winners out there and it's very easy to find a winner that can scale to 7 figures, but to truly find an 8-figure scalable winner is a whole different ballgame because on a core level, most likely you're gonna have to differentiate in one way or another. So right now, if you look into all of the courses around dropshipping, they're going to tell you to either scroll TikTok, Facebook ad library, PP ad spy tools, product hunters, whatever, to find products that already run ads, already run 15 or more ads or 30 or more ads, whatever, right? That have a good landing page that solve a problem. They're going to tell you to basically replicate that brand, copy and paste it, right? And then just run it up. You can do that. For example, right? Pheromone Sense right now is huge. You've probably seen their ads. Those pheromone perfumes. They do millions a month right now. I would know because I literally run some of the largest ones out there. So in a course, for example, they would tell you to copy a brand like that and just run the same ads as them, This is how you get to 7 figures, right? But if you really want to crack the millions a month in a relatively saturated market or relatively competitive at least, you really need to differentiate at least a little bit with your product because it's much easier to hit $1 million a month if you are considered a category of one type of product, if that's how you're viewed. Now, at this stage, you're probably asking how the hell do I differentiate my product, right? Let me just give you the easiest hack in the world that you can apply to literally every single product category under the sun, right? And we're going to walk through 2 examples right here now with pheromones, for example, right? The easiest way to differentiate is literally just by changing the method of delivery or the delivery mechanism or the vehicle of delivery of the actual product itself, the solution to whatever problem people are facing, right? So for example, right now everyone is selling pheromone perfumes, right? The spray-on stuff that you could just spray, wrist, and then you smell you suddenly create this attraction aura around you, right? But what about, rather than selling a perfume, you start selling a pheromone-based deodorant. You change the delivery vehicle. Rather than it's a perfume, it's now a deodorant, right? Because this deodorant is unlike any other. It soaks into your bloodstream to alter your biochemical state, to exude attraction to the opposite sexual polarity, right? Something like that. You can see how it differentiates, right? Whereas a perfume is just, it stays on your skin, it dries out over time. Whereas a deodorant, you're able to absorb it into your bloodstream, and really alter yourself on a biochemical level, let's say, right? You see how just by doing that, you already differentiate the product a little bit. But let's talk about another example that's been popping off in the weight loss space, right? So if you've been on TikTok at all, you've probably heard of this product called Ozempic. It's a treatment for diabetics, long story short, right? But as a byproduct of this treatment, a lot of people are experiencing weight loss, right? The secondary consequence of treating diabetics is the people who are taking this end up losing a lot of weight because it replicates this hormone that makes you feel full, right? However, people in the weight loss space, over the decades of bullshit marketing around snake oil that, helps you burn more fat burners, pills, whatever, all of these bullshit weight loss equipment, right? The market is super skeptical. I know a few people running weight loss products and they have to use use advertorials, long form VSLs just to get like qualified traffic, whatever. Like it's a tough space to be in, right? So why did Ozempic, a product that costs literally over $1,000, why did they take the market by storm? Well, you have to understand the delivery vehicle first. It's an injection of a semaglutide into the bloodstream, okay? I'm sure they could have made Ozempic into like a pill form or like something that you can drink, whatever. But why did they choose injection? Because injections are more painful, they're more expensive to produce, and they have to sell it for a higher price, right? Well, it all has to do with like this perceived likelihood of success, because the market is used to pills, gels, you know, weight loss belts, the ab things that stimulate abs, that burn fat and gives you like abs and shit. They all don't work, right? People are used to those delivery mechanisms. So what are people looking for? They are looking for something that they feel like will actually work, right? And an injection is like one of these things. Is like, whoa, I'm gonna inject myself and I'm gonna become like Spider-Man, right? Like that's the perception of what injections are like. So therefore, because it has a much higher perceived likelihood of success, and also the product visually looks super different from everything else, it's a much easier sell, right? Because injections always seem more powerful than a pill. So differentiating your product and being able to select the right winners is like the number one biggest thing. But the second biggest thing, and this is again, it has to do with just how you approach the world of e-commerce as a whole, which is you need to be thinking in ad angles, right? Because if your product benefits are not easily conveyed via video or image or text, it's going to be very difficult to actually market the product itself. You see what I mean? So for example, like, does it deliver a quick and more importantly, visible transformation immediately? If not, then you're going to have generally a pretty high cost per click and also a higher CPA. So what I mean by this is, if you look at like the thousands of supplement brands out there, right? Why do the multivitamin brands never really work on D2C? It's literally just because, yeah, it's like multivitamins are nice to take, but it's like there's no real need for it, and you don't really feel transformation after you take it. You see what I mean? Like there's no way to actually convey the benefits of taking a multivitamin unless you're doing like quarterly blood tests, for example, right? And 99.8% of the population is just not going to be bothered to do that. So before you even start thinking about testing a product, it's super important. If you want to hit that 8 figures, you need to think in terms of ad angles. If you look at this product, you should be able to immediately generate at least like 3 to 4 viral ad angles that will actually work for this space. And the last thing and the most important thing I want to cover is you actually need infrastructure, like better infrastructure, in order to scale to millions a month relatively quickly. And it mainly comes down to 3 things. It doesn't really have anything to do with like team members. Obviously, like having the right project managers and all of this stuff is super important, and good media buyers, that kind of stuff. But you only really need 3 main things. You need a really reliable and high quality supplier that gives you lower cost of goods sold and fulfills your order on time. You need really good payment processor with very high limits, and ideally some sort of like chargeback protection software that you're working with also. And lastly, you need really good credit. So these 3 infrastructures, here's how you actually acquire them. You need a good supplier, because if you were to actually scale and run out of stock, the brand loses momentum, your meta ad score goes down, everything fucks up, right? You need to be able to find a supplier that can reliably ship your products on time and fulfill everything on time, but it's kind of harder to find a reliable one, right? But these relationships are built over time, which is why actually a lot of the time dropshipping takes a couple years to master. In terms of a good payment processor, if you're still using Shopify Payments, which is a white label of Stripe, there's probably going to be some problems down the line, I promise. Like, just good luck trying to scale from 0 to 500K in the first 60 days. Like 7 out of 10 times, Stripe will hold 30% of your payments, and depending on the category you sell in, they could even ban you. You know, you need to make sure you have good backup processes in place. And if you're doing already those types of numbers, let me know. I can make you the right intros. Just book in a call with me and we'll figure it out. And by the way, like, I'm actually giving you source here, because like most gurus don't even know this, because they've never done any real numbers and they've never worked on any stores that actually have scaled from 0 to like 1 million in like 30 to 60 days, you know? And lastly, the third thing is good credit. You just need to have really good relationships with your credit card companies, right? So always make sure you're paying off your Amex bills on time, because the amount of friends and clients that have to cap their scale at like 10K 10K revenue days just because their credit card limit can't be raised because they're like a bit young or like their business is too new or whatever. Like it's actually ridiculous. Please make sure you have and try your best to maintain as good of a credit rating as possible with your credit card companies, because e-commerce is a cash flow game and you need to be able to have cash on hand in order to actually grow to the next phase. So yeah, if you make sure you just do these 3 things, like getting to your first $1 million month is like fairly straightforward. Now, in the meantime though, if you want someone to run your email marketing so you can better leverage your time and focus on top of funnel growth, then you should really book in a call with me via my website. First link in the description. Been doing emails and SMS for like 4 years. We're really good at it. Generated tens and tens and tens of millions for a bunch of 7, 8, and a couple 9-figure brands as well. So yeah, looking forward to talking soon. See you guys.